Hey everyone, my name is Lauren and welcome back to Skeptic She. Part of the reason I'm doing this YouTube channel is because I don't see a whole lot of non-male voices in the skeptic and secular communities, and tied into that, today I'm going to talk about a few reasons why in general women tend to be more religious than men and why women may be more apprehensive to come out as a skeptic or an atheist or non-religious. Before I jump into this, I want to mention for argument's sake, I will only be speaking about this topic from a very general perspective. So I'm a big ally for trans people and people who identify outside of the normal male-female gender binary, but today I'll be speaking in terms of that binary just to keep things simple. I'll also be speaking primarily about American demographics because that's what I'm most familiar with, and I won't really be getting into the intersectionality of race, socioeconomic status, and other non-gender related factors. Keep it simple, stupid. So let's talk about why women tend to be more religious than men. All the sources I found on this topic came to generally the same conclusion, that even though it is measurable that in general worldwide women tend to be more religious than men, there's no one clear answer as to why. It's likely due to a combination of nature and nurture, like biology, birthplace, education, and upbringing. According to a fairly recent Pew Research study of Americans, about 68% of men identify as atheists, while only about 32% of women do. Conversely, only 45% of men identify as Christian, while about 55% of women do. With Christianity being the largest religion in the world, this 10% gap would be a significant statistic in any country. Tying that all together globally, about 83.5% of women identify with a religion, while only 79.9% of men do. Now that difference may not seem that big. You know, it's only about 4 or 5%. With how many people there are in the world, that is very significant. So what are some of the main factors that are likely contributing to this? The first is education. First of all, there's a big education gap between men and women. That gap has been closing, but it's definitely prevailed, and that education gap is primarily in STEM fields: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And usually the more educated someone is in those scientific fields, without any religious underpinnings of course, the more likely they are to be skeptical of supernatural claims. Now unfortunately, in my experience, a lot of Christian educators treat the Bible like a science book, and that really tends to put a damper on what would otherwise be objective teachings about the universe. The second possible reason why women are generally more religious than men is estrogen. There's one theory that because men have more testosterone than women, they're more willing to take risks, like missing out on an afterlife or ending up in hell. Now, I have an interesting personal note here. I actually had a doctor tell me that I have higher than average levels of testosterone in my body for a woman. Could part of the reason I've been more skeptical of Christianity be because I have excess testosterone in my body? I have no idea, but it's really fun to think about. Okay, it's getting super dark outside and I don't know if the ring light is gonna suffice. I hope it doesn't look too bad. I know with this camera that I have, things tend to get really grainy when it gets even remotely dark or cloudy outside, so we'll see how it turns out. The third possible reason why women are more religious than men is moral/social purity. So it's been observed that women more than men tend to associate being religious with being a more compassionate or moral person, even if they don't regularly pray or attend church. Also, if they're closeted atheists, for example, they may be more hesitant to come out because they don't want to be perceived as brash, and frankly this is something I worried about when I was still in the closet with my atheism. I still worry about it a little bit, and due to patriarchal social structures, women tend to tie sexual purity with spirituality, or they just tie spirituality and sexuality together more often than men do in general. The fourth possible factor is traditional gender roles. I think this one is probably the most obvious. Women who work outside of the home tend to have views that align more with their male coworkers, and they tend to be less committed to religion, but it's unclear whether that's just due to religious women being more likely to work in the home anyway and avoid work outside of the home. I know that society now, especially in Western society, is really breaking away from that, but that's just kind of a general factor to think about. Number 5 is community. So along the lines of traditional gender roles, for women who are homemakers or do other work from home, church and other religious gatherings offer an easy way to socialize and to feel welcome outside of their home and not feel so isolated. Many Christian churches are also a lot more supportive of women who choose to raise a family and stay at home than they are of women who choose to just enter the workforce. So the nurturing of that kind of feeling can really create sort of a cycle of social pressure. I personally miss that accessibility and comfort that religious groups I participated in offered, because I think it's arguably a lot harder as a non-religious person to kind of find your people as you age out of your school years. But that said, I am finding that the friendships I have made outside of Christianity, though they've been a little bit more challenging to find, they have been just as genuine as the friendships I had with my Christian friends, and in some cases more genuine. The sixth and last for this video, but definitely not the last overall, reason is social position. So this theory says that since women are still considered to be of a lower social status than men in general, they are more likely to seek a sense of safety and security in the church. And when we're talking about the largest religion, Christianity really offers that sense of lifting up the lowest in society, the poorest, the meekest. So I think that definitely encourages women to stay put where they are in their beliefs. That sense of comfort can be really powerful, that sense of security. So the lesson here is blame the patriarchy for everything! Really though, there are a lot of factors behind why women are more likely to be religious than men. Regardless, whether it's socialization, biological predispositions, what have you, these types of factors and influences that are outside of women's and men's control for why one group tends to be more religious than the other, that's just further demonstration to me that belief about anything or lack of belief isn't really a choice, and that is probably what I'm going to talk about next time. With that, I want to say hello and thank you to my new subscribers, everyone who's been commenting and messaging me with their stories. That's really cool to hear and to interact with you guys. And thank you to those of you who took my survey on my Instagram about my next video topic. This topic is the one that won, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and share this with your friends. Thank you so much for watching. Keep asking questions, and I will see you next time. So it's been observed due to I cannot say the word patriarchal right now.